Are you someone who takes your security seriously? And do you prefer to remain anonymous while surfing the internet at home or while using public Wi-Fi? Or are you a political activist who needs a secure medium for communication? Some place where you don't have to fear surveillance or getting tracked? Or are you someone with little technical knowledge and just curious about the dark web and want to explore it safely? Then this video is for you. Hello and welcome. Before we dive deep into the world of dark web and TOR, first let us understand how the internet and the surface web work. What is internet? Internet is a global network that connects computer systems across the world. What you're seeing is a large network of connected devices. When you turn on your computer, then it is assigned an IP address. This IP address is used to uniquely identify your computer over the global network. Then your computer becomes a part of the internet. If someone from across the world wants to send some information to your computer, then he will use your global IP address. Now let us look at some of the services and softwares which are used to share the information over the internet. Web is one of the widely used softwares that provides a way of sharing the information. There are other services as well. They include email, instant messaging, and FTP. FTP is a file transfer protocol for transferring files between a client and a server. So how can we view the web? There are different softwares for that purpose. They are called the web browsers. Some of the common web browsers are Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, and Internet Explorer. These web browsers know how to talk to servers, ask for web pages, and render them for the end user. Now that you have an idea about what is the web and the internet, let us look at how the web work. One of the key elements of the web is the Uniform Resource Locator, or the URL. These URLs tell which website or web page we want to visit. Each of these URLs correspond to a global IP address of the server on which the web pages are stored. Another key element of the web is the HTTP protocol. The HTTP protocol is designed for providing communication between web browsers and web servers. When you type http://www.google.com in your web browser, then you are asking your web browser to use the HTTP protocol to view the World Wide Web part of google.com. Then the browser sends that query to the web server. The web server recognizes the request and says, "I know what you are asking for. Here it is." Now let us look at what is surface web, deep web, and dark web. There's a very common analogy of an iceberg that is used for explaining the different layers of the web. The tip of the iceberg is the surface web. It is the part of the web which is readily available to the general public and is searchable using standard search engines like Google. Some of the sites that lie on the surface web are YouTube, Wikipedia, Reddit, and the public part of the Facebook. On the other hand, deep web is a portion of the web that the regular search engines like Google and Yahoo aren't allowed to see. For example, any content that requires a password to view the content is on the deep web. So Google cannot see your bank account information as it is protected by a password. Also, if you mark your Facebook profile as not to be available for public, then you have essentially pulled it down to the deep web. Finally, the dark web. It is a portion of the web that is not indexed by regular search engines. It speaks different language, encrypts data in different ways, and have secret handshakes. Web browsers like Chrome and Firefox does not know how to ask for web pages on the dark web. They don't talk that language. There's another web browser called the Onion router that knows how to speak the language of the dark web. The dark web uses onion routing, which we will discuss later in this video. Dark web is the most anonymous part of the internet where people can have access to anonymous marketplaces and other confidential stuff. The websites on the dark web do not use .com as their domain. Instead, they use .onion. Now let us understand what is TOR. TOR is a free, Open source software used for anonymous communication in which the traffic direction is directed worldwide through different network. Using TOR, it becomes difficult to trace network information and packets being transmitted. TOR intent usage is for providing privacy to the users and conduct confidential communication between the users without the internet activities being monitored. To begin with, the darknet uses both the encryption and special privacy browser to provide anonymity to the user. Now we will look at how TOR works. TOR is an implementation of the onion routing. It is used when we don't want someone to read the messages that we send on the network. And in some cases when we don't want anyone to see that we sent a message at all. Consider this client-server model where you want to talk to the server but don't want anyone else to know. Basically, TOR bounces your traffic off between different nodes using different layers of encryption to confuse anyone who might be sniffing on the network. TOR in its implementation uses 3 nodes to encrypt your traffic. These nodes may not be present close to each other. This node could be in US, this in India, and this in Russia. The traffic would flow something like this. In this model, no node knows about the whole connection. It just knows what is before them, and what is after them. Your system will generate 3 different keys and share them with the 3 different nodes. This node will have K1, this will have K2, and this will have K3. Now, you will generate a message that you want to transmit to the server. This message will be encrypted with all the 3 keys. First, the message will be encrypted with K3, then with K2, and finally with K1. This message will go to the entry node, who will strip off the first key layer because it knows how to decrypt using K1. But, this node still cannot read your message as it is still encrypted. Then this would be passed on to the second node, who will decrypt the message using K2. The message is still encrypted, therefore this node cannot read your message either. Finally, the message would be forwarded to the exit node. This node will decrypt the message using K3, and can actually read the message as it is not encrypted anymore. Then your message would finally be sent to the server who would respond accordingly. The interesting thing to note is that, this node does not know anything, except how to decrypt a message using K2, and then forward it to the next node. It does not need to know who you are, or what is the origin of the message. So if this node is compromised, then the attacker would learn nothing about who you are, or what the message is. Therefore, you remain completely anonymous. This is the advantage of using TOR over other web browsers. Now let us see how to access the dark web. Firstly, we need to get VPN if we are intending to the dark web. This is easy, just Google VPN. Some are free, some may cost you money. We don't need a VPN, but it adds extra layer of security while accessing the dark web. Even if the TOR is compromised, the VPN will make it unable to trace back you. VPN makes the network of the user private across the public network connection and providing encryption to the user with the packet transfer between the server and the host machine. The slide shows how the packets are transferred from the host computer connected to the internet via VPN. Okay, now, after getting the VPN, you are good to go for accessing the TOR browser. Just Google search for the TOR browser and download using the first link you see. Start the TOR browser and you will have access to .onion websites. You can also go to popular databases, the Onion directory and hidden files. After entering the dark web, shut down all your apps, do not use your real name, do not send your photos to anyone, and use anonymous email account to stay more protected. Even if the dark web is meant to be secure, but reality is it is not. Don't access the dark web without following all the protocols to be safe. Now the biggest question arises, that is the dark web legal to access? The answer is yes. TOR is basically the encryption of the network. The core principle of TOR, onion routing, was developed in the mid-1990s by United States Naval Research Laboratory employees, Paul Syverson, Michael G. Reed and David Goldschlag, with the purpose of protecting U.S. intelligence communications online. TOR is not meant to completely solve the issue of anonymity on the web. TOR is not designed to completely erase tracks, but instead to reduce the likelihood for sites to trace actions and data back to the user. On the contrary, some people take advantage of the anonymity of TOR and make some illegal work happen, which includes illegal trade, forums, and media exchange for terrorists. Wow, it is wonderful to know that you have the knowledge of dark web and accessing it successfully.